In today's video, I'm going to explain exactly why exercise selection is what really keeps me fit as a management consultant and what exercises I prioritize in my training. So, if you are a busy management consultant yourself or any other kind of busy professional who is struggling with predictable schedules, intense work hours, and you just feel like you have no time to work on your body and your fitness and health, this video is exactly for you. Before we deep dive into the content, I always like to briefly present myself so you know who is talking to you. Well, my name is Lorenzo, I'm 26 years old and I have about 3 years of work experience, including management consulting. Way before I joined the corporate world, I was always very into fitness, not only training but nutrition, and I felt it would be very challenging to transition into the corporate world, especially consulting, where the workload is crazy. So in the end, I managed to keep up with everything. There is a way. If people tell you either have to be successful in your career or in your fitness, that's totally bullshit. There is a way to do this. And yeah, since then, I've helped over 1,000 clients achieve their dream bodies, many of them being busy professionals. So it's totally possible. Now, let's actually dive into the topic. So first things first, what is the problem that most consultants face in the gym or wherever you work out? All in all, most consultants simply waste time in the gym because they have ineffective exercise programming. There are many things that make someone waste time in the gym, but exercise programming and selection is one of the most important ones. And I would say that this comes down to three main issues. Firstly is overcomplicating workouts. Basically, you do unnecessary exercises that really do not contribute to your goals. You prioritize isolation movement versus compound movements. And what I mean by this is isolation movements are exercises that really target small muscle groups and really isolate a certain muscle. For example, a bicep curl. You are only targeting a specific part of your bicep. Whilst, for example, a compound movement is an exercise that targets multiple muscle groups at once. For example, the bench press, where you are targeting your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps. So given that you have a very limited time to work out, you should be prioritizing compound movements over isolation movements. And then focusing on quantity over quality. And I discussed this in other videos that I uploaded in the past, so it's not today's focus, but of course, it's not just about the quantity. Even if you are performing the right exercises, if you are doing a lot of volume with not high quality sets and reps, you are wasting time in the gym in the end. Then you follow trendy workouts. So you pick exercises that just look cool but don't really maximize results. You change exercise selection regularly so you don't stick to a fixed plan for a certain amount of time. Usually I recommend my clients or for myself to follow a specific workout plan for at least 8 weeks where you have the same routine and you progress on all exercises week by week instead of changing exercises weekly on a weekly basis. That's really ineffective and very hard to track your progress. And then something that I know many people do, many consultants do, they copy routines without really understanding their purpose. And I get it. Your main priority is not to be super knowledgeable in the gym, and you don't really care about looking super jacked or lean, whatever. You just want to look healthy, fit, and feel good about yourself. And in the end, I know it could be a bit annoying that you are working so many hours and you still have to learn about fitness and educate yourself in this topic, but it's really simple, guys. You just need to learn the basics and then you have this knowledge for the rest of your life. So don't simply follow weird and random routines without really understanding why are you doing so. And then thirdly is ignoring the technique. So I see many people doing exercises with terrible form in the gym. I'm not saying that the form has to be perfect in every set. Myself, sometimes I let my form go a little bit down. That happens, but I see guys doing the worst things in the gym. For example, doing a squat and not even going close to 90 degrees deep. Waste of time, putting a lot of weight that in the real world you cannot really handle, and you should not be using those kind of weights. And then I also notice that you rush through sets or reps. So you do a lot of sets, a lot of reps, and you have no intent or purpose behind these exercises. So you are just going through the movement very quickly without really feeling what you should be feeling during those exercises. And finally, again, overloading way too fast, which then leads to bad form. And all in all, these three things together, these three boxes, lead to lack of measurable progress. So you don't really know if you're progressing on a weekly basis in terms of strength, muscle gain, or it doesn't have to be necessarily strength. This applies also, for example, to running. If you are into running, there is also a way to have a structured running program. Then, of course, if you are lacking the progress measurement, you are missing a lot of strength and muscle gains on the table. So for the same period of time, you could be achieving so much more if you did certain things. And then, of course, you increase the risk of injury. So if you're doing everything with a bad form, just going super fast, using a lot of weight, you risk injury, which again, it's a big problem. Myself, I've been training for over 8 years now. I never had a single injury in my life, and I've trained really hard for the past 8 years. So you can do things right if you learn the basics. So what is the solution, guys? I would say that it comes down to focusing on compound movements. 75% of your time in the gym should be focused in your compound movements, 25% for isolation movements, and then assuming you have a decent form in all these exercises will lead to maximized results. Of course, there are other variables that you need to keep in mind. For example, the amount of volume you are doing, the quality of the sets and reps, the workout split itself. So there are a lot of factors that you need to keep in mind, but now we are just really focusing on these two topics, which is exercise selection and perfect technique. And yeah, and of course, I have to say that this equation applies especially for people who have very little time to work out, maybe 2-3 hours a week. This should be really your priority. Of course, if you have more time, 4, 5, even 6 hours, I don't think you need to focus so much on compound movements. 75% should not be focused on compound movements. But for 2 hours a week, yes, I would say so. And yeah, there are three things that I want you to keep in mind. Firstly, of course, again, focusing on compound movements, you need to be picking exercises that target multiple muscle groups. This will not only maximize your strength, functionality, and as a bonus, you will burn extra calories in the gym because compound movements, again, require more muscles. It's just more taxing in your body and you'll just burn more calories. And as a byproduct of all of this, you will save time in the gym while achieving better results, okay? So it's just a no-brainer. Then I want you to prioritize quality over quantity. This is a bit off topic, but I really want to mention this again. It's better to perform fewer exercises with precision and intent and really avoid what I like to call junk volume, just going through 8 exercises in a session and doing them all wrong without any purpose. So every rep and set should have a purpose, especially when you have limited time in the gym. And finally, I want you to follow a specific plan. Focus on a consistent set of proven exercises instead of just chasing trends and trying out new routines every week. Choose exercises that not only work well for you, but you enjoy doing them. That's also something important. And you should be gradually progressing weights or reps. So you should not be using the same weights every session forever. You should have some sort of progression system, and I have videos explaining a few examples on how could you progress, because at the end of the day there is a correlation between strength and muscle growth. Yeah, you should be following all of this, assuming your technique is great. Okay, so we avoid injury and we ensure that we are really targeting the muscles that we should be targeting. Finally, guys, I want to show you my approach to exercise selection and how do I approach my training. And I would say that there are 4 main steps. And again, in this case, let's assume that we are doing 2 hours a week divided in 2 sessions, so 1 hour each. This will depend a little bit on each person. Some people prefer to divide these 2 hours across 4 sessions or even 6 sessions, but for this case, let's assume 2 hours, 2 sessions of 2 hours. So I would pick anywhere from 3 to 6 exercises, depending on the length of your session, but for 1 hour, 6 exercises is doable. 2 to 3 of those exercises should be compound movements. And then the remaining 1 to exercises should be isolation movements. So this is the basis, okay? And we will break down how can you pick these exercises, but you should be doing so. You should be doing that. And in terms of exercise selection, I put here these 6 boxes, which are basically the main muscle groups: chest, back, shoulders, quads, and hamstrings. All arms exercises end up being almost an isolation movement. So if you have very limited time, you don't really have to target arms specifically, because when you train chest, back, shoulders, you are training arms indirectly. I didn't include glutes and calves because they are kind of targeted when you work out quads and hamstrings. But basically, for each box, you see a blank space in the middle. So this divides basically the compound movements from the isolation movements. And what I would like you to do is to pick at least one exercise of each muscle group from the compound movements. I personally, right now, I'm doing the incline barbell press for chest. I'm doing the pull-ups and chin-ups for back. I'm doing the barbell shoulder press for shoulders. I'm doing barbell squats for quads. I'm doing a stiff leg deadlift for hamstrings. And then if I have extra time in the week, I will throw some arm exercises. But again, they are not really the priority. So this system gives you some flexibility, because you will have ideally 5 exercises that you will perform every week 100%. And then if you have extra time, you will include isolation movements, whether it's arms, more chest, for example, a chest fly, more back, you can do cable rows, lateral raises, leg extensions. So these are isolation movements that you can add on top of your compounds. But again, your workout program should be based on the compound movements. Let's say that I'm doing 2 workouts a week, 2 hours each, 1 hour each. I would pick 3 compounds for workout 1 and 2 compounds for workout 2. For example, let's say workout 1, I'm gonna do incline barbell press, I'm gonna do pull-ups, and I'm gonna do barbell overhead press. And then for workout 2, I'm gonna do barbell squats and deadlifts, and a stiff leg deadlift, for example. Okay, that's an example on how could you approach your training. Once exercise selection is done, you have to ensure, going back to this diagram on top, you'll then move on to step number 2, which is mastering technique before increasing weight. So before you start trying to progress on weights, you should ensure that your technique is on point and you learn the mechanics of the movement, because in general, compound movements are a bit more difficult to master versus isolation movements, because you have to pay attention to a lot of things. So I want you to start with lighter weights, practice your form, and only when you get comfortable with the form and you are feeling the movement right, you start adding weights through a progression system, okay? And here, a practical tip that I can give you is to record yourself occasionally to review your technique. I personally end up recording myself at least once a month so I can double check my form and understand if it's still good enough to keep progressing. And then we move on to step 3, incremental progress for each set. There are many ways that you can do this. I have a video explaining exactly how I progress, so I will not deep dive into that in this video, but you should have a system that allows you to progress and measure your progress in a practical way. It cannot be super complicated because, well, you have a lot of headaches already from work. I don't want you to feel more stressed about another chore. I personally use my phone, as you can see here. Basically, I have every set, weight, and reps that I did on a certain exercise, and then I can easily know what should I be doing each session. Nowadays, you have many ways to do this. There are fitness apps that will do this for you, but I've been using the Notes app for some time and I like it. Of course, it depends on each individual, but this is a suggestion. Then something that I want you to do in your workouts is to mix both high reps with lighter weight and low reps with heavy weight. This will stimulate different kinds of growth and strength, and it's good to mix things up. So don't try just to do 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 15, mix things a little bit. And I have a video explaining exactly how I do this. I use reverse pyramid training for this system which allows you to combine both these kind of stimulus in your training. Finally, you should be sticking to a simple routine for consistency and a routine that you enjoy and it's sustainable for you in the long term. You should be repeating the same workout program for at least 8 weeks, and after this time period you should be changing a few exercises or just going for a completely new routine. But yeah, on average my workout programs last about 10 weeks before I change things up. Throughout these 10 weeks you should be progressing as best as you can. And I understand, consultant, you are very busy. Some weeks you are working 60, 70, maybe even 80 hours. And it's really hard to stay committed and consistent with a specific routine because, again, workload, unpredictable schedules. So I'm not asking you to be perfect, but try to be consistent. And I want you to make an effort on a weekly basis to do something about your body and fitness. Even if you have to cut your workout in half, or even if you go to the gym just to do one exercise, it's better than not doing anything, and you can still progress even if you only go for one exercise. It is what it is, guys. It's possible. It's still possible to achieve great things with your body and your fitness and health, even if you are working these crazy long hours, okay? So we reached the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something from it. Now you have 2 paths and 1 decision. You can simply stay the same, do not change anything about yourself, keep struggling with low energy, frustration, watch your health decline. Many of you guys are young, maybe in your 20s or 30s, and you feel like you can push through for a few years without really caring about your health. But trust me, in the long term, you will feel the consequences if you do not do anything now, okay? So that's option number 1, which I don't recommend. Then option number 2, basically start taking control of your health today. Do your best to improve your health and fitness. You apply the principles you learned in today's video. Yeah, you don't wait. You don't wait for the right time. You just start now. That being said, if you want guidance and if you want to maximize your progress and time in the gym, you can get help, okay, guys? And I do that myself. I've been helping busy professionals get in the best shape of their lives. And yeah, I do it in a very simple system, a system that works for you in a very practical and personalized way. So if you are interested in that, book a strategy call with me. We'll discuss, we'll get to know each other a little bit, and then we'll see if we are a good fit for each other and potentially work together. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.